Hey everybody. So, now that Alex Ovechkin has won a Stanley Cup and a Conn Smythe Trophy, there's a question that came up during one of the live streams during the Cup Finals that I thought was a really tough question to answer and a really interesting one to think about. Is Alex Ovechkin a top 10 player all time in NHL history? And without delving into the numbers or without just you looking at anything, just going off the top of my head, I said I don't think so, but he's getting close. He's certainly an all-time generational player. He's the greatest goal scorer of the modern era, and I don't think that can be questioned by anybody. Um, he's certainly one of the best players of the modern times, without a doubt. Like top three, I would say, without question. However, when you think back to the history of the NHL, how do you pick just 10 guys? Think of how many incredibly great players have gone through this league. It's hard to narrow a list down to 10 guys. And I don't like comparing guys from different eras at all. I know they have era adjusted stats and stuff. Hockey Reference does that. But I don't like it at all because the game has changed so much and it's totally different now than it was in 1990, and it was totally different in 1990 than it was in 1970. It was totally different in 1970 than it was in 1945. So I just think it's kind of useless and very hard to compare guys from different, eras who are in some ways playing a completely different game. And then trying to compare them and rank them off of each other, I think is not an easy thing to do and not really a very useful thing to do. Yes, Gretzky put up a bajillion points over his career, but he played in the live puck 80s, where points were through the roof and goal scoring was insane. What if he had played now? What would his numbers look like? Sure, you can era adjust the stats, but that doesn't really tell you the whole story. That's just math. That's changing the numbers based on a formula. Unless you could actually bring out a time machine and bring Wayne Gretzky here to the modern times, you don't know what he would do in the league now. Just like you don't know what Alex Ovechkin would do in the league in 1985. You have no idea, and there's as much as you want to try and make up for not knowing and try and figure through statistics and math out what it would be, it's just not the same. You also have differences like the physicality of the game, which really isn't measured in stats really. You have hits in penalty minutes, but that doesn't necessarily show the whole picture on how physical the game is or isn't. You have speed, you have modern nutrition and weightlifting, and modern physical therapy and just getting your body into better shape, modern training. There's so many variables that go into it that there's really no way to know for sure how someone would have played in a different era. All you know is how they played when they were in the league. And the league has changed a lot over the last 100 years. So, anyway, I decided to delve into it a little bit and look at, is Ovechkin a top 10 player of all time? So, when you look at him, Alex Ovechkin, he's 32 years old. That's another thing. His career is still going on. He is only 32 years old, which means he could easily play another 5-6 years in the league. He's been in the NHL for 13 years. He's played 1,003 games. He has 607 goals, 515 assists for 1,122 points. So he's pretty well over a point per game player in his career. He has 229 career power play goals. He has 102 career game winning goals, and he's a career plus 87. In the playoffs, he has 121 career playoff games. He has 61 goals and 56 assists for 117 points in those games. He has 21 power play goals, 8 game-winning goals, and is plus 13 in his playoff career. He has led the league in goal scoring 7 times. He's won the MVP 3 times. He's won the Calder Trophy and now the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe. Stanley Cup adds to your legacy in the NHL. Even though it's a team award and there are many great players who have never won the Stanley Cup, it does help you in the all-time rankings for sure. Alex Ovechkin, without even this season, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. After this season, take that Cup and Conn Smythe away, he is still a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is a generational player, one of the greatest goal scorers in NHL history. He is the greatest goal scorer of the modern era. Now add in a Cup and a Conn Smythe. That rises him even higher. Now you look at the fact that he's 32 and he still has, who knows how many years left, but he has years left in the NHL. What happens if he wins a second cup or even a third cup? How does that raise him in the rankings? His numbers are honestly better than I thought. In the regular season and playoffs, they are better than I thought. I did not realize that already at only 32 years old, he was this high up in the all-time rankings. It's hard to keep him out of the top 10 at this point. And it's hard to put a top 10 together. I think generally hockey fans certainly agree on a top 5, or at least 5 people who are absolutely in the top 10. You think Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Mario Lemieux, those are probably your top 3 all time, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. Then you have Gordie Howe, Maurice Richard. Rocket Richard, I think, is overlooked a lot of times because he played so long ago and played before Gretzky, and is kind of really an old timer, so people kind of forget about him. But I think he's in the top 10 for sure. Sidney Crosby all time is still probably higher ranked than Ovechkin. So if you have Ovechkin in the top 10, then you have to have Crosby in the top 10. As much as I don't like Crosby, he's a fantastic player, and I still think he's, when it comes to all-time rankings, better than Ovechkin still. And he has 3 cups to Ovechkin's 1. But Ovechkin is right there. So I just named 6 guys who I would have in my top 6. So that leaves 4. That leaves 4 spots left. Is Ovechkin a top 10 player? I think after looking into this a little bit, I'm gonna say yes, he is. Sure, he's probably in like the 9 or 10 spot. He's absolutely top 12, and I don't think you could argue that with me. If you want to, go ahead. There's a comment section below. If you want to argue with me that Alex Ovechkin is not a top 12 all-time player, go for it. Change my mind. It's not going to happen. Top 10, I think he's in that 9 or 10 spot right now. I'm not one to really, I don't really want to put a full top 10 list together. I've named you my top 6. After that, I think the door opens a lot wider. I would say Bobby Hull was probably in the top 10 all time. And then after that, the door, as you get lower and lower down the list, the door gets wider and wider as to who could be in that spot. I think Ovechkin is probably the 9th or 10th greatest player of all time in NHL history at this point. And the Cup did help. The Cup absolutely helped. But his goal scoring numbers are way better than even I realized. I knew that he was a fantastic goal scorer. I know he scores 50 almost every year. He didn't get to 50 this year. He only got 49. But he's without a doubt, one of the all-time greatest players in NHL history. And at this point, when actually looking at this and looking at his all-time numbers and awards and what he's done in his career, I would have him ranked 9th or 10th. So I am saying yes, Alex Ovechkin is a top 10 player in NHL history. You guys can answer that question for yourself in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you don't. Either way is fine. In my personal opinion, Alex Ovechkin is either the 9th or 10th greatest player in NHL history. And the Stanley Cup and Conn Smythe are just the icing on the cake. He's the greatest goal scorer of the modern era. He's consistently of 40 to 40 plus, oftentimes 50 plus goal guy. He's got over 600 career goals already. He should blow the 800 mark away. If he scores, if he plays 5 more years and scores 40 goals a year, let's say, which he should probably score more than that, that's another 200 goals. He's over 800. So he's going to end up with over 800 goals. He's got a Stanley Cup now. He's been an MVP multiple times. He leads the league in scoring. It seems like, every other year he leads the league in scoring. He's definitely a top 10 player in my opinion. I don't think he's top 5 yet. I don't think he's really close to top 5. Probably will never get to be top 5, but I do think he's top 10. So that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out awfulhockey.com, even though I haven't done much with that at all lately. Been focusing on the YouTube channel with whatever free time I have. But those links in the description below. Keep spreading the word about this channel. I love watching it grow, and the subscriber count's up over 200 now. So thank you guys very much for that. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.